universe is awesome! Have you ever looked up at the night sky and imagined what life might be like on some distant planet? Or what it would be like traveling the galaxy in a starship? I know I have, and today, people are actually doing it. Okay, maybe not in a starship, but using telescopes instead to see what's out there. I'm Nick Termini. Together, let's explore the amazing ideas and discoveries about the cosmos and our place within it.
Why are we alone in the universe? Let's assume that there are other intelligent civilizations out there. It's not a concept that's too hard to imagine. I mean, we live among countless worlds in a vast ocean of stars. The Milky Way galaxy has some 300 billion stars in it. Just how large of a number is that? Well, if you were to only count to 1 billion, it would take you over 31 years. With a number that large, it's hard to imagine we're the only ones out there that are able to appreciate the grandeur of the universe. In Carl Sagan's book Contact, he writes that the universe is a pretty big place. If it's only us, it seems like an awful waste of space. When I look up at the heavens, I can't help but agree. The sky is filled with a seemingly infinite number of stars, yet we can only see the smallest fraction of them. 3,000 grains of sand. That's about the same number that we can see on a dark, clear night. Seems like a lot more when you look up there, right? But what if I told you that there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the Earth?
I mean, just look at all of this sand!
So where are all these aliens anyway? I mean, with all of those stars out there, you would think that we'd be surrounded by a vast galactic network of civilizations. Yet, there's no evidence of anyone else out there. This is what's known as the Fermi Paradox. It's a paradox because there's no good explanation for our supposed isolation.
Now, it's thought that most stars have planets that orbit them. If this is the case, then in just the Milky Way alone, there's more than 1 trillion planets.
Now, most of these planets would be pretty terrible places for life to inhabit. Either too hot, too cold, blown up by the Death Star, the list goes on. But if just 1 in 1,000 planets has the conditions to support life, that means that the Earth has over 1 billion cousins. So, with numbers like that, how can we possibly be alone in the universe? Well, unfortunately, this is where things get tricky.
Welcome to the Great Filter! Behind me lies the Hoover Dam, and it holds back a mind-blowing 9.2 trillion gallons of water. So, what is this great filter anyway? Well, it's a theory that going from non-life to, say, a spacefaring race, that there's a barrier, just like the Hoover Dam here, and only a small fraction of life ever makes it across. So, if this idea, if it's true, then we have to ask the question of where in human life might this great filter show up? The theory is that there's 3 possibilities. We're rare, we're first, or we're in big trouble. Let's take a look at the first idea. Let's say these lines represent species on different planets in the Milky Way. They're all evolving towards an intelligence similar to our own. Oh, and the blue line? That one's us. So, if the Great Filter is behind us, it could mean that it's extremely rare for life to ever make it to our level of intelligence. After all, no other creature on Earth has learned to make, internet videos. So, in this example, only 2 species in the galaxy make internet videos, and we're one of them. This implies that there's something special about us, that higher orders of intelligence are not guaranteed. Take the alligator. It's been around for 37 million years and refuses to change. I mean, they can't even start a fire. Human beings like us, on the other hand? Well, we've only been around for about 100,000 years, and we have always been able to make fire.
So, if we are special, when did we become special? What was the step that we climbed where every other species tripped and fell?
One thought is that it could be life ever forming in the first place. Here on Earth, it took about 1 billion years for the first life forms to appear. Then, about another 3 billion for anything as sophisticated as our friend the sea anemone here.
So, was it some fluke of nature, like going from single-celled organisms to multicellular creatures that was a great filter? Or maybe it was our unique planet, with its large moon and violent forces of nature, that compelled life to change or perish.
Perhaps on some paradise world where the weather is always pleasantly warm and the seas are forever calm, life may never even get started, simply because it's far too boring of a place for anything as interesting as life to ever happen in the first place.
The second possibility in the Great Filter theory is that we're first. Perhaps it's only been till just recently that the universe has settled down enough for intelligent life to gain a foothold. The early universe? That was a place of spectacular fury. Its first stars burned hot and died young, exploding their guts into space and seeding the universe with new and more complex elements like carbon and oxygen and iron. The very building blocks for life as we know it. We, as a species, may be on the way to higher orders of intelligence, to traveling beyond the confines of our home planet, and traveling the vast distances between the stars. It also might be that many other civilizations are on this same road of progress, either slightly ahead or slightly behind, but more or less, we are all traveling together. Perhaps we will all meet up at some galactic pit stop in the not-too-distant future.
If we're neither rare nor early, then a third possibility exists, that the Great Filter is in our future, and we're in big trouble.
This could mean that life often evolves to about where we are, with vast cities and amazing technologies. But then, something happens. Something that stops civilizations from ever going much further.
Think about all the threats that we face. Overpopulation, climate change, and of course war. These threats remind us that our continued well-being is not guaranteed. It just might be that intelligent civilizations end up destroying themselves, and we're no exception.
Now, consider this. Let's say that we find evidence of life on Mars. It would certainly be one of the most profound discoveries of all time, and it would support the idea that life is abundant in the universe. At the same time, however, it could also mean that some catastrophe always ends that life before it has a chance to develop into a spacefaring race. So far, there have been 5 mass extinctions on Earth, and many believe we're headed for a 6th. However, there is a bright side to all of this. The very fact that we're still here is proof of just how tenacious life is. Not only that, but we have options that no other life on Earth ever had.
Carl Sagan once said that we are a way for the universe to know itself.
It's up to us to either sow the seeds of peace and prosperity and come to know the universe that made us, or we can squander our almost 14 billion year history in meaningless self-destruction. If the Great Filter is in our future, there's nothing saying that we cannot control our destiny and leap right over it. The choice is ours to make. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching The Universe is Awesome. In coming weeks, we'll have more episodes where we talk about everything from what kind of civilizations might be out there to how we would go about contacting them, and if it would even be a good idea for us to do that in the first place. So please support us and click subscribe below. I'll see you next time.